our doggie Louisa is sitting right beside me, and she has been in a barky mood. Um, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know how that's gonna go. Okay, I'm trying to make sure everything is up so I can see it all. Um, okay, I think we're good. Um, so I'm so excited. This is Secrets to Marriage Success that no one talks about. Um, oh, we got someone coming in. Okay, so this is Secrets to Marriage Success that no one talks about. And I am super, super excited to share this with you guys. This is stuff that I do in my marriage, and it's worked really well for me. So I wanted to share it with everyone else. Okay, there we go. Okay, so who is this class for? This class is for engaged women who are stressed about being a corona bride, engaged or married women who need in law boundaries, engaged or married women who want to ensure that they're living their best lives with their partner long term, and they are willing to put in the effort. That's a really important piece. You have to be willing to put in the effort because most people think of marriage as like this fairy tale, and it's amazing and it's awesome, but it involves work and challenges and partnership and working together to create what you want. So you have to be willing to put in the work, and you need to be intentional about that. So basically, this class is for anyone who is in a long-term committed relationship and they want it to be awesome. So, I mean, who actually doesn't want that? So here's what you're going to learn today. We're going to talk about why you need to make yourself a priority, how important boundaries are, why visualization is vital, why belief is so important, and the keys to make magic in your marriage. So, there's a lot of different things that we're going to talk about that aren't really talked about in the mainstream society, and it's going to be fun and interesting. Um, does this sound like you? You are or were insanely stressed about your wedding. It was supposed to be fun. It'll be fun, they said. It'll be fun. And wedding planning, especially right now, is actually not all that fun when certain people get involved and certain things start to happen, and it can be very overwhelming, especially if you are DIYing everything. You're taking on opinions from others from all different directions. That's mostly I'm talking about in-laws, but there's a lot of other people too. Like you know, if you're engaged, it could be wedding vendors, it could be friends or family members. If you're married, or even if you're not married yet, there's a lot of things that people want to throw their opinions at you about. Um, or you want to put more focus on your marriage, and the premarital counseling that you went to didn't really do it for you. That's another one. Or you have friends who waste their time insulting their own spouses, and you're just not okay with that, but you don't really know what to do about it. I mean, it's one thing to, you know that you don't want to do that, but what else can you do? What other measures can you take? Um, and here's the real problem. You haven't made yourself a priority, and you haven't set enough boundaries to protect your energy. Protecting your energy might sound a little woo woo, but it's important. It's important to protect your space. It's important to make yourself a priority and know that, yeah, I have needs and feelings too, and I'm going to take care of those, because if you don't take care of your own stuff, it's really hard to take care of other people's stuff. So, once you adopt what I'm going to teach you, you will elevate your marriage and life putting yourself first, setting boundaries, and setting those intentions for your relationship. So those are all really important things. I mean, even though I'm going to be talking a lot about how you can do things on your side of the marriage, It's to benefit the partnership and the relationship as a whole. So here's what the results will be. Okay. Oh, okay. Living your dream marriage and life with your partner unapologetically. So you will be free to choose the life that you want to live. This is my husband and myself on Malibu on the beach. And we chose this life. We made a lot of decisions to get us or get ourselves here, and that's where we are, or that's where we were in the picture. We don't live in Malibu, but we live pretty close to there. So it's you want to be unapologetic about how you want to live your life together. Who am I? I'm Ryan. I've been married to my husband for 13 years. We have two beautiful girls and a cute mini golden doodle puppy. Her name is Louisa. She's just outside of the frame right here, and I'm hoping she is going to stay quiet. We'll see. If she doesn't, I have treats to distract her and some other things. Sometimes she just needs a hug, other times she just needs to be redirected. So we'll see how that goes. And this family photo is my favorite. My hair was longer in that picture, but this is basically a good depiction of how life is. It's crazy. Not everybody is moving in the same direction or looking in the same direction. And despite all that, you can still have your clarity and your vision for moving forward. Some of my favorite things, just so you know, are dogs, macaroni and cheese, pumpkin spice anything, Christmas music, and nerding out on relationship dynamics. I actually almost was gonna have Christmas music playing as this class started, but I thought it's November. I'm I know I'm not the only one who listens to Christmas music in November, but I was like, let me spare everyone just in case, just in case. So, years 6 through 10 for my husband and I were actually very challenging for various reasons. And our choice to grow together and also separately is what brought us closer and back to the relationship that we imagined that we'd have when we got married. 90% of people in the US get married before the age of 50, and 50% of them end up getting a divorce. That is terrible. And part of the reason for that is that the wedding industry gets you all excited about your fairy tale. Pinterest shows you all these amazing pictures and beautiful things. And then you get married and you have your life, and there's not nearly as much support for you as there was when you were getting married. I mean, if you go on Facebook and you look around for groups, there's thousands of groups for brides, and there's hardly any groups for wives, and they might not, they might not be right for you. They might have very specific categories that they talk about or something. So it's very lopsided. And that's the reason why the divorce rate is 50%. We set up these really high, ridiculous expectations. I was just talking to someone today about how people seem to think, no, 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 no. See, that wasn't so bad. But we have these ridiculous, oh no, no ma'am, no ma'am, come here, come here, shh, come here. This is Louisa. No. Okay. No. Shh. So we set these ridiculous expectations, and um, then our spouse can't live up to it because it's not a fairy tale. It's real life, and it is amazing. Marriage is amazing, but it's also challenging. And if you're not prepared for that, it's gonna um, it's gonna leave you feeling disappointed and resentful and a lot of other things. So when others usually give up, that 50% divorce rate, we decided that our marriage was actually worth the effort. And I had to take responsibility for my own side of the marriage, and he did too. So here's what I did. I took responsibility, personal responsibility. I put self care first, like before other things. I take care of me first now. And yes, I have kids and I put my self care first. I set loving boundaries. I evaluated my tribe. I shifted my focus to what I wanted and I sought out support. So these are things that really, really helped me get back on track with who I wanted to be in our marriage and the dreams that I wanted to follow inside of a marriage and outside of it. Once I implemented these things into my life, everything really did change. And I also realized that my husband didn't have to do, excuse me, my husband didn't have to do everything that I was doing in order for it to make an impact on both of us. Because that's what the point that I'm trying to get across is that you can do things on your own and you don't have to try to rope your spouse in and make them participate. I mean, yes, it is a partnership. Yes, you want to have conversations about things, but you don't have to do everything the same or every single thing together. You can actually do things on your own that will improve the marriage. So, I'm going to draw for you guys the married and manifesting framework. So, let me grab my pen and my little clipboard here. This is going to be fun. I bet you didn't know we were going to do this. Okay, so I'm going to draw pieces of it and then I'll show you because I don't have like a nifty little whiteboard behind me because I figured that would be kind of difficult. And this is messy, okay? Messy like marriage, okay? So here's the first part. Can you see that? Okay, I hope you can see that. You can definitely let me know things in the chat if you can't see it or if you can't hear me. Um, Definitely let me know. I have the chat where I can see it. Okay, almost done. And then you'll get to see my beautiful drawing. Oh God. Okay. Okay. Okay, glad you can see. Okay, so here it is again. There's another layer around it there. Okay, so, oh, by the way, I meant to say this earlier. If you did get the worksheet, the framework is on the worksheet and it's a lot prettier than what I'm drawing. If you don't have it, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Um, this this drawing will be good enough. Okay, so this little center area, that is your dream life. Okay, so I'm gonna write that over here. Your dream life and marriage. Okay, that that is the your dream life and marriage. Okay, so the way that you get there, number one, is make yourself a priority. My handwriting gets nasty when I write fast. Make yourself a priority. Okay. Oh, can you? Okay, let me get it a little closer. Can you see that? Okay. That it says make yourself a priority. Okay, make yourself a priority. And the way you want to do that is to meditate, take up space, and set boundaries. Meditate, take up space, set boundaries. And I'm going to go a little more into each of these categories after I finish my lovely drawing. So the next part is to move through your emotions. Move through your emotions. And the way that you do that is call it out, tap it out. I'm not talking about dancing. And release it. Okay. So there's those. Oh, this is so weird. It's like trying to do your hair in the mirror. Um, so call it out, tap it out, and release it. And then the last one is manifest your dream life with your partner. Manifest your dream life with your partner. Um, okay, and how you do that is you visualize, believe. That one's super important. They all are. And then take inspired action. Okay. Whoop. So there it is. There's the whole thing. Okay, so make yourself a priority by meditating, taking up space, and setting boundaries. Move through your emotions by calling them out, tapping them out, and releasing them. And manifesting your dream life with your partner by visualizing, believing, and taking inspired action. So that is the framework. And I can tell you from experience that it works. So here it is, not super messy. Um, and this is, I'm going to touch on these a little bit more detail. So meditate regularly. That's pretty self-explanatory. And if you are scared of meditating or you don't know what it is, sit down, close your eyes, take deep breaths, be present. That's it. You can do it for 2 minutes, you can do it for 20 minutes, you can do it for an hour. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're doing something, it will have a lot of benefits for you. It'll bring your bring you into more of an alpha state where you're calmer and you get better ideas. It will just make you more chill if you do this regularly. And it just is a time that you can take for yourself where you just have a few minutes to breathe, which a lot of people don't give themselves that. So it's really, really important. Take up space. What I mean by that is let yourself feel how you want to feel, say what you want to say, and have opinions about things. You don't have to, like keep your mouth shut just because you think that what you might say could offend somebody. Make sure that you are, again, putting yourself first by allowing yourself to be who you are, because that is super duper important in life. We are not supposed to be shying away from what we want to do and who we want to be for the sake of other people, because nobody gets to the end of their life and says, oh geez, I'm so glad that I hid parts of myself to make so and so happy. That just doesn't happen. So that's really important. Setting boundaries is huge. We are going to actually dive deep on this one in a second. It's so important to set boundaries. It's important to set boundaries with your spouse, as a barrier around your marriage. It's important to set boundaries with yourself. If you have bad habits that you need to fix, or you have new habits that you want to add into your life, make sure that you are putting boundaries in place to make that happen. And a boundary doesn't have to be malicious. There are a lot of kind ways to put a boundary in place and hold the boundary. So we'll talk more about that in a second. Move through your emotions. What I mean by call it out is just name it. However you're feeling in the moment, upset, angry, frustrated, irritated, just say it to yourself. So you don't necessarily have to say it out loud, but just take a second to be present and find out how you're feeling. So you could say, I'm feeling frustrated. And once you do that, you sort of put a laser focus on your own feelings. And then you can ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? How would I like to feel? What could I do to get me there? That sort of thing. So you can sort of have a dialogue with yourself to move through your emotions. And something else that you can do to move through your emotions is called tapping, or EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. If you haven't heard of it, it's very powerful. And I am not an EFT practitioner. If you would like some recommendations, I have some really good ones. So just email me, info@amindfulbride.co, and I will absolutely send you over my recommendations for people that I know are really good because I've worked with them, and it's just really it's amazing. Okay, I can't. All I can tell you is that it's awesome. So I'm gonna do it for you right now though. So I'm gonna demonstrate so you know what I'm talking about because I don't want to just like tell you that it's cool but not show you how it works. So I'm just gonna run through the tapping points real quick. You want to use like your 2 fingers or 3 fingers. I use 3. It doesn't matter. And the typical tapping points that you run through. Some practitioners will do it differently, but these are the ones that I've learned. And you can do it with one hand or you can do it with both hands. It doesn't really matter. It's just sort of whatever speaks to you. And you can also start wherever you want. I'm going to start on top of my head. So you tap the top of your head and then you go inside of your eyebrow, outside of your eye, under your eye, under your nose, your chin, um, oop, hair flip, right underneath the middle of your collarbone, and then under your arm, like where your bra is, and then on the side of your hand, like that, like the fleshy part of your hand. So you would keep doing that just as many rounds as you want. You know, you can do it once, you can do it a bunch of times, it doesn't matter. And you can either, you can say affirmations as you tap, you can um, talk say out loud how you're feeling. You can work on forgiveness while you tap, whatever feels right to you. In the spirit of moving through your emotions, it's probably going to be feelings that are not super great, so you can kind of talk your way through them. I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, um, and just tap and you'll find that it relaxes you. I would recommend looking up um, maybe some tapping on YouTube just to be able to follow along with someone. And my other recommendation is to do it with a professional if you can, because it's really, really powerful when you do that, but it's also very powerful when you do it on your own. I do it almost every single day by myself, and I have a weekly group that I meet up with on Zoom, and we do it together through our facilitator, and it's really, really cool. So, the last thing in Move Your Emotions is release it. um, I journal to release it. So I find that journaling is almost like a doorway to my intuition. When I start writing how I'm feeling, I get a lot of clarity and answers by doing that because I'm very present. It's hard to be distracted when you are writing things down with with a pen. So that's a really good way to also to let it out. And the last category is manifest your dream life with your partner. And you want to visualize what you want your life to look like together. You want to actually believe that it's possible. That's super important. A lot of people don't do that. And you want to take inspired action from there. So, you might get a nudge to do something and you don't know why, you don't know where it came from, but you go do it and then something amazing happens. And so sometimes it seems kind of magical, and I'm good with allowing it to just be magical. So going over your framework, if a lot of this stuff is green, green means you're doing great. If any of these categories for you are yellow, that means they're good but they kind of need some work, and if they're red, that means you haven't done it or you're not good at it. And if I had to guess, I would say that a lot of people have a lot of red. Maybe there's a few things on here that you do. Maybe you do already set boundaries or meditate, but maybe you don't visualize. Maybe you don't actually believe that the things that you want are possible for you. So just keep that in mind moving forward when you think about your own framework. And now it's time to go a lot deeper on some of this stuff. So, first, we're going to talk about setting boundaries. Boundaries, 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 everywhere, all the time. Put them everywhere, everywhere. You need them. So, why is setting boundaries so important? Becoming a doormat for your spouse or for anyone else, being a people pleaser is not cool. It's not fun. It's not okay. And especially like with your in laws, um, sometimes, not all the time, in-laws have a way of sort of like digging in a little bit more than someone else would because they have a personal connection to you, but not the same personal connection that you have with a parent. And so you need to put some boundaries in place. Even if you have great in-laws, a lot of times personal boundaries that are unspoken can be overstepped just because you came from somewhere different than where they came from. So like they might think that it's okay to, I don't know, hug you as soon as they see you, but maybe you're not a hugger. Maybe your family is not huggers and that makes you uncomfortable. So, there's, even if it's not them being malicious, you're still allowed to set boundaries. It's all about how you feel about it, not how anyone else feels about it. And don't worry about offending people either. So you're doing your marriage a great disservice if you're not setting boundaries because you need the boundaries between the two of you, but you also need boundaries outside of the marriage to protect the relationship. Um, so, what is the problem that this addresses? Well, by setting clear boundaries for yourself and within your marriage, you're setting the tone for how you want to move forward. And you can stop having conversations that are made up inside your head. Don't we all do that? You can stop that if you set boundaries. So instead of, your spouse does something that you think is ridiculous, instead of not saying anything and then going off into a corner and having an argument with them in your head, figure out a kind and compassionate way to say something and let them know that you prefer something else, and you may have to repeat yourself a few times, but repeating yourself about a boundary is a lot better than continuously holding resentment for something that you don't like and never saying anything about it. Because again, when you're on that deathbed, you're not going to be thanking yourself for not speaking up. So, how does this work? Well, it's really easy actually. This is the easiest part, actually. Everyone's really good at this part. Recognize what you don't like. That is super duper easy. And you can recognize it within your own, within your marriage, like wherever you need the boundary in your marriage, with yourself, outside of the marriage, wherever you see a need for it. Anything that annoys you, anything that bothers you, it could be at work too. That's a place where you need a personal boundary. So the next part is take a look how it makes you feel. Does it make you feel angry? Does it make you feel sad? Does it make you feel unheard, unseen? And then think about how do you want to feel? And by thinking about how you want to feel, you will figure out how you want to actually set the boundary and what the boundary needs to be. How will boundary setting change things? First, you'll gain a lot of confidence. When you set that first boundary and it works, you'll feel on top of the world. You'll feel like you discovered a superpower. It's really, really incredible. And you will actually get what you want, which also, P.S., helps your belief muscle. If you start setting these boundaries and you start getting what you want, you think, oh, I really can have what I want if I just speak up and I just focus there. So you'll see other areas of your life change as well. Basically, once you start setting boundaries, it's addictive in a good way, and everything around you will start to become how you would like it to be simply because you're speaking up and you are making yourself a priority. So here's some proof that boundary setting works. I'm going to tell you guys a couple of stories. A few years into our marriage, before we had kids, I remember my husband be, he would get home from work like an hour or so before me. So by the time I got home, he's already had time to decompress and do some of his creative stuff outside of work before I even walk through the door. So by the time I get home, he's so excited he wants to share something with me that he's been working on for the last hour while I was still at work. I walk in and my arms are full of stuff, and I can't excuse me, can't even get two steps into the door, and he's asking me, can I watch something? Can I look at something? Can I help him with something? And I would either help him and be very resentful that he didn't allow me to have time to decompress from work, or I would snap at him and say, I don't understand why you just bombard me the second I walk in the door. I want to have some time to relax. I don't want to feel rushed into doing things as soon as I get home, and even saying that it is speaking your truth in a way, but when you do it with that hostility, you don't get anywhere because the other person gets defensive, like, oh, what's your problem? Why are you at, did something bad happen at work today? No, I've just had a long day and I don't want to do anything right now. Give me like 30 minutes and then I'll help you. So that was a real issue. And it happened almost every day of the week, for a while. And I didn't know what to do about it because I would frustratedly explain to him why I didn't like it, and then he would get defensive, and then we would move on with our night, and then he would do it again the next day. So, years later, once I learned about boundaries, if he comes to me and is really excited and wants help with something, and this is honestly a boundary that I have to put in place, almost daily still, because he gets so excited he forgets. So he comes to me and he's really excited and he says, hey, would you mind reading this for me? Um, I just want to see what you think about it. So I say, I would love to help you with that. I'm right in the middle of something. So how about we work on that tonight when I can be fully present for you? And then we both get what we want. I get to finish up with what I'm doing without feeling guilty. He knows that I'm going to help him later on, and that it's that I'll and he can be excited that I'll be present instead of being resentful or distracted, if I which is what would happen if I allowed myself to be interrupted and stopped what I was doing. And there's a level of understanding there that, like, hey, I'm my own person. I don't jump when you say jump. I make my own decisions. And that's an underlying thing that you don't have to actually say that, because if you do, sometimes it can be taken the wrong way. But it's just the energy that you put out and it is received back by your partner. So that's um, one example. Another example is with one of my in-laws. Um, so back when our oldest was 2, we moved back to be closer to family. And there was one family member in particular who lived closest to us and wanted to take our little baby girl out from time to time. And I noticed that she was very unskilled at putting a child in a car seat. I mean, they are complicated, but it's not that hard. So I saw that she was doing it completely wrong, which left our baby unsafe in her car. And she just sort of didn't care that I pointed that out. So I had to put a boundary in place. And this was a very hard boundary. This was not, oh, would you mind if I could show you how to do this correctly? This was, you need to strap our daughter in correctly, or you will not take her anywhere ever. And I still I get all mama bear about this, seriously. So I also told this family member, you have to send me pictures that she's strapped in correctly when you leave to come back as well. And if you don't do it, you will not take her anywhere. And I am dead serious about that. And so I had to be a little stronger with that boundary, but I wasn't mean, because there's no need for that. So that's another example of, setting a boundary, and that one stuck pretty good. That one I really didn't have to continue to remind, but sometimes you do, and that's okay. So you can share in the chat, what would this mean for you if you started setting even small boundaries within your relationship? It could be anything that is even just a small irritant to you, of like what you don't like and what you would prefer. So anytime it's like even just a little bit irritating, it's okay to realize like, oh, I could set a boundary around that. So just think about that and see what comes up for you, and write it down because um, if you write stuff down, it'll help you remember better. Okay, number two, visualization. In other words, daydreaming. I mean, that's really what it is. It's daydreaming with intention. So, um, this is one of my favorites. Visualization is very important because it's actually one of the things that we're going to talk about a lot in Married and Manifesting. And it's a way to get your brain focusing in the right direction. So rather than sitting around thinking about what you don't want, getting irritated, you sit down with intention and think about what you do want, get excited about it, and be open to ideas for how it can come to you. We actually are really good at visualizing the things that we don't want. So you just want to swing that over to visualizing what you do want instead. And it does take some practice, but it is very possible for everyone. So it's that's why it's important. The problem that visualization addresses is that, like I said, most of us are so negatively focused, we just don't pay attention to what we want. We're only thinking about what we don't want and how irritating that is, and we don't realize that when you're doing that, what you focus on expands. So when you're doing that, you are essentially just bringing more of that bullshit to yourself, and nobody wants that. And there's a quote, I don't know who said it, but it is worrying is like praying for what you don't want. So when you're worried about something, when you're complaining about things, um, oh, bye, Lulu. Thanks for coming. When you're complaining about things, um, it's just it's going to bring stuff to you, more stuff to complain about. So, since what you focus on expands, you want to focus on what you want and you want to imagine it and imagine being in it in as much detail as you possibly can. So, how does visualization work? It's very, very easy, actually. Just sit down, close your eyes, and imagine what you want. Think about what you want and feel how it feels to be there now, because our brains don't know the difference between a visualization and a our current reality. Our subconscious does not know the difference, and so if you're visualizing, you can't help but bring to you what you're visualizing because your brain just doesn't know the difference. And our subconscious minds are very, very powerful. They bring us what we think about. So you want to make sure you're thinking about things that you actually want. Um, and so yeah, it's just you want to visualize the things that you really, really want. And it's it's not easy to swing that spotlight sometimes, but as soon as you become aware, then you can really catch yourself a lot more when you're thinking negatively. And so that's a big thing that visualization changes, is that you start to look at what you want instead of what you don't when you make this a habit. It's a typo there. Oops. Okay, so proof that it works. This is a really, really good magical one. So we were living in North Carolina. We were living in a town that we didn't want to be in, and we had lived in California before and come back, and we really wanted to go back to California. And so that was our main goal. Um, and this also speaks to how you can sort of take the reins and do things on your own without, forcing your spouse to be involved. So we were on the same page about getting back to California. We talked about it every day. We had fun talking about it with our girls. And what I did was I started visualizing every day, and I would allow my visualizations to get more and more powerful and more detailed. And just within a few months of me doing that, we were packing up a U-Haul and heading over to California. And you might say, oh, well, you just saved up your money and waited until it was time to go, or however you were able to get there, that's not going to work for me and my dreams. And that is actually irrelevant. How you get there, the how is irrelevant. Just because whatever happens, whatever you're trying to work towards, it's always going to look in your situation to someone else like, well, of course that worked out for you that way. And it's going to look like that to you when you look at other people. Like, well, of course that thing happened for them in that way. They have that relative that does this. And so, of course, it happened like that. But that's how it works for each of us. So, in hindsight, you could look back and be like, oh, yeah, of course it worked out that way for me. But that part is irrelevant. You don't want to focus on the how, you just want to focus on what you want without saying, oh, I'd love to do this, but I can't because of X, Y, Z. That doesn't work. So, in Married and Manifesting, we will actually go over some specific visualization tricks that will supercharge your visualization, and that will be really cool and really fun. So, what would visualizing mean for you? Um, if you could, if you could get into the habit of visualizing, what would you be visualizing? Where would you be going? What would you be doing? Without saying, but I can't, but this, but that. Just think about what would you be doing in your visualizations. And I encourage you to start this habit because it's really, really powerful. And again, if you have a pen and paper, write it down and see what comes up. Because sometimes you may end up writing something down that you didn't even know that you wanted. Number three is belief, actual belief. I know I mentioned that before, but when you say, oh, I wish I could have whatever, and then you immediately followed up with, but I can't because my boss is a jerk, or but I can't because I don't think that so and so will let me, then you don't actually believe. So believing you can have what you want is important because again, what you focus on expands. And if you don't actually believe that you can have what you want, you're not going to have good focus. And the things that you want, they're going to be a lot harder to get. And the life that you want, it's going to be a lot harder to get if you don't actually believe that it's true. I mean, a lot of people think that, they get what they get and that's it. They're not allowed to reach for anything further. They're not allowed to have the desires that they have in their heart. They don't share that with people because they're afraid that people will think that they're selfish or crazy. Um, I'm crazy. We moved from one side of the country to the other because we wanted to. And did we have family members that didn't really love that idea? Yeah, we did. But this is what we wanted to do, and we can still go back to visit. So um, you have to, we would have never gotten here if we didn't believe that we could. So sometimes your belief is not super strong, but if you keep practicing at actually believing, when you catch yourself saying, like, oh, that'll never happen for me, just catch yourself, stop and say, no, I actually believe that it will happen for me. I don't know how. That's actually a a really good way to release yourself from needing to figure it out. You can say, I don't know how, but I know it's going to work out. And it feels really good to be able to say that because you don't have to figure out how. Um, so, what problem does believing address? When you shift your focus to believing in what you want is not only possible but doable, you open up to opportunities that you didn't know were there. And again, it's swinging the spotlight from what you don't want to what you do want. It's um, it's really, really important to believe. I can't stress this enough. If you don't believe, none of this other stuff really works. And it's not hard to believe. It's not hard to get your mind to change about, can I really make this thing happen? Can we really do this? The answer is yes. And again, you don't have to be concerned with the how. So how would believing that you can have what you want change things for you? Is there something that you've been wanting for a while that you've just been kind of tossing to the side because you think, oh, well, that's for someone else, that's not for me, or I'm not good enough to have that thing, or I don't deserve it? That's all bullshit, okay? So whatever you're telling yourself about why you can't have what you want, just let that go. And even if what you want sounds crazy to someone else, that doesn't matter. What they think of what you want doesn't matter. As long as you believe and you and your spouse are on the same page about where you're going, then everyone else's opinions just don't matter. So I have another story for you. Um, Knowing what you don't want is a great first step, but it's not quite enough. So you want to turn that around and then start to know what you do want, believe that you can have it. So when I was pregnant with our oldest, I was at a job with, it was a very small company. And because it was so small, they were not required to pay me on my maternity leave. And I hadn't been working there for very long, so I had 2 weeks of vacation that I could use, and then I had to figure out how the heck I was going to make money for 4 weeks worth of bills and expenses. And it was pretty scary, like a baby on the way, and you don't have enough money. We didn't have anything saved up. We just didn't have enough money to cover me not working for that long. So I had decided that I was going to believe that it was all going to be okay. That was really all that was left for me to do because I tried to figure it out and I just couldn't come up with any ideas because I'm not going to work while I'm nursing a newborn. Not going to happen. So I just decided to believe that it would work out. And I visualized myself just taking care of our new baby and everything else being taken care of. And that's what happened. I mean, it was all that crazy stuff that you're like, oh, that doesn't happen for me, or that happens to other people. I mean, one of the ways that our expenses were taken care of for that 4 weeks was that we got a letter from where we sent our car payments, the company that we had our loan from, that said, hey, just wanted to let you know you can skip your payment for this month. That's crazy. That would have been something that I never could have thought of on my own that was even possible. I didn't know that was possible. So after deciding that I knew what I wanted and focusing there, I just got a random letter and they were like, "Surprise, you don't have to pay this bill this month." I mean, that's incredible. And so that kind of crazy, unbelievable stuff can happen for you too if you believe it. And if you look back on things that you've brought into your life, um, you probably can think of a time where there was something that you really wanted and you got it because you focused on what you wanted because you wanted it badly enough to focus on what you wanted instead of thinking that you couldn't have it. So, what would it mean for you if you actually believed that you could have what you wanted? What would you do differently? Um, would you follow a dream for the two of you? Is there like a career goal that you would follow? Just be thinking about that because belief is so, so important. Um, and it's going to make a huge, huge difference. So I want to know which of these were your favorite. I want you to think about that. Let me know which of these were your favorite because I mean they're all great. My favorite is actually the visualization. I do that every single day and I love it. Um, if you could be a fly on the wall in the dark early in the morning in the living room where I do my morning routine, you would see me like sitting on the couch with my eyes closed, cheesing because I'm visualizing and having such a great time. And then the things that I visualize eventually manifest into my life, and it's really, really incredible. And it's also really cool to be like, oh, look what I just did, and to recognize that you made something happen in your life. So today, I promised that you would learn why you need to make yourself a priority, how important boundaries are, why visualization is vital, why belief is the most important, and the keys that can make magic in your marriage. So you can have a clear direction for your life and marriage instead of just flying by the seat of your pants. And you can live your dream life in marriage with your partner unapologetically, like not caring what anyone else says because it doesn't matter what they say. Okay. Um, oops, there we go. So you have two choices. You can take action or you can stay where you are with no focus or direction. Just think about without a vision, the people perish. It's true. It's true. If you don't have a direction, then you're just floating along. And the floating along part, it leads to resentment and it puts cracks in your relationship if you don't have a direction that you want to go in. And if you're not taking responsibility and you're not putting yourself first, then it's just a lot harder. It's a lot harder. So, how can I help? I want to invite you. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I want to invite you to the Married and Manifesting Society. It's going to be amazing. Just amazing. You can go to marriedandmanifesting.com to sign up. The image that you see there on the laptop is one of the images you'll see when you get on there. And the image on the iPad actually is what you see once you log in, once you sign up and you are able to log into your account. Here's what you'll get in the membership. We have weekly support calls based on a monthly topic. So the topic for November is boundaries because we're heading into the holidays and everyone needs to set extra boundaries during the holidays. My husband and I have already started, I mean, months ago, we were talking about the boundaries that we were putting in place for when we see family over Thanksgiving. So it's a perfect time to be learning about setting boundaries and actually setting them. There's going to be a private Facebook group for all members. There's a couple of different levels of membership in the society. And so, whichever level you choose, you still get access to the Facebook group, and everyone is in the same Facebook group. You will begin to gain confidence in your ability to have the marriage and life you want. Again, unapologetically, not worrying about what other people think or say or how they think you should behave. It's just, it grinds my gears when I see people throwing their opinions on to others about what they should and shouldn't be doing. So we work on that a lot in the Married and Manifesting Society to make sure that you have your boundaries in place so that those people do not bother you. And the best part is it's a community of women who want to grow and support each other on their marriage journeys. So all of us will be somewhere on our marriage journey and we have something to contribute and we'll all get support. So wherever you're at, even if you're not married yet, you're on your way. There's something for everyone and there's a lot of bonuses inside the members area that you can take a look at and go through on your own, in addition to the weekly calls where we will meet up on Zoom every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. So this is Janelle. She's one of my brides, actually. She says, "You're willing to hear our story and not make any judgments for how we're feeling, and I really appreciate it." So the Married and Manifesting Society is a no judgment zone. It's a safe space where we're allowed to feel how we feel, we're allowed to get support in the things that we need support in, and we're allowed to ask questions, and we're allowed to offer support as well. So it's a really, again, a safe place to grow in a community and be yourself. So you can make yourself a priority and you can watch magic happen in your marriage and your life. And I am so passionate about this because I have seen how it works. This picture in the background is me and my husband, and I got to dress like a princess and wear a flower crown and be at the beach making out. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff that you can do when you shift your focus, make yourself a priority, and get a good support system around yourself to do that. Because when we get married, we're not an island, and our spouse is not and cannot be everything for us. So if you're looking to your spouse to be the one to make you happy, to do everything for you, it's just really hard for them. And you wouldn't, honestly, if you're honest with yourself, you don't want them to put that on you. You don't want that pressure put on you. You want to do your best and you want to show up for them, but you don't want to be made to be the one and the thing that they count on for everything. That's called codependency, by the way. So don't do that. This is what you'll see when you go to sign up. Married and Manifesting is $97 per month. And there are other levels as well. When you go to the website, www.marriedandmanifesting.com, you'll see the other levels there as you scroll down. So you can pick the one that fits for you the best. And I'm so excited about this. I have a fast action bonus. If you sign up by midnight tonight, which is actually 3 a.m. Eastern, you will get a free 30-minute boundary strategy session call with me. So we'll go over, if you have something specific in mind where you have a certain boundary you want to set in place for yourself, you have a certain person you need to set it with, and you're just kind of stuck about how to do that and how to deliver it with kindness and compassion, but also firmness, we can go over that. We can get you a strategy, and there will be some follow-up messaging so that we can make sure that you've got everything taken care of. So if you go to marriedandmanifesting.com and sign up by midnight tonight, you will get that session. And if you're one of the first people to sign up to get that session, we will be able to do your session before Thanksgiving. I only have a few spots available before Thanksgiving. um, anyone that signs up by midnight can get the fast action bonus, but I only have a few spots available to get your call in before Thanksgiving. So if you have some shit going down for Thanksgiving and you want to get it straightened out before you get there and be ready so that you can set a boundary like a boss and have a good time, get your bonus now and be one of the first to sign up so that you can get in and have your session before Thanksgiving, because it's going to be super important. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But other than that, that is it for me. And I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. See what happens there. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. I am trying to not share my screen anymore. Oh gosh. Here we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. So, um, yeah. So, if anyone has any questions, I'm getting back on, I'm live on Facebook too. So, um, oh, it's a little bit behind on Facebook. That's crazy. Okay, so it doesn't look like there are anything. If you have any other questions, like if you don't feel like asking your questions in front of everybody else, totally just send me an email, info@amindfulbride.com. Other than that, go to marriedandmanifesting.com and get your free boundary session by signing up by midnight tonight. And I hope you have an amazing evening, and I can't wait to see you in the society.